A baby girl, Amy, has made history, being the first child in the UK born from a transplanted womb. Her Scottish mother, Grace, received the organ from her sister in 2023 after a groundbreaking 17-hour operation. Following the big success of the procedure, she gave birth to her daughter 5 weeks ago, describing what happened as the greatest gift ever. Vanessa Taff has more on this remarkable tale.
Oh. Meet Amy, the miracle baby. She has a special story, one her parents didn't think they'd ever be able to tell.
I've always been very nurturing and I had so many motherly instincts, but I've just had to suppress them because it was too painful. It's just amazing. I just feel like from the minute she was born, I've just been able to just feel all those feelings that are just so natural to me.
It was a long time waiting for this. Just loved every day, every minute that I've been able to spend with her. Change her nappy, she can poo on me, whatever she wants to do. I love it.
Grace has a rare condition, which meant she was born without a womb. Her sister, who had already had 2 children, donated hers in the ultimate gesture of sisterly love.
Grace had always been the most maternal out of the siblings, and it just felt incredibly unfair that she was struggling the way that she was. When you say giving a gift is better than receiving, that genuinely has been my experience.
We will continue to disagree with you.
This medical marvel took place in 2023. Grace's operation, the first of its kind in the UK. 25 years after her surgeon began researching the pioneering possibility, this team finally have a baby.
That was one very emotional meeting. I held the baby, and funnily enough, the scariest thing for me on the day of the delivery was the prospect of dropping the baby as she was handed to me. And I held her again a week later, and I have to say I walked out of the room in Queen Charlotte's with tears streaming down my face.
After the news broke that we had done our first transplant, we were inundated by phone calls and messages from other women that wanted to donate their uterus. This is not life-saving. However, it is a transplant that is totally life-enhancing, life-transforming, and of course, life-creating.
Amy's birth has given hope similar transplants will be funded by the NHS and not a charity, giving the opportunity of motherhood to other women.
It's given me a life. I was kind of just surviving before, so yeah, for somebody that was in my position feeling the way that I did, I really hope that it's an option for those women.
And the one thing they've learned about their new bundle of joy.
She seemed to like the Scottish accent, actually, I noticed. So yeah.
Something Amy will be hearing as her parents hold her close.
One of the many people who have been gripped by this story is the midwife and author Leah Hazard. Leah, by any standard, a good news story. What's your reaction to it?
I was delighted to hear this news. As somebody who has been following uterus transplant technology and the developments in this field for a few years, I kind of knew it was coming. I knew that we were working on this here in the UK, but I didn't realise we were actually at this point yet. So it was just fantastic to open up the news this morning and see that this healthy baby has been born. It's great.
And you've actually seen this operation carried out. And give us an idea of what's involved.
Yes, so I was hugely privileged back in late 2019 to actually observe a uterus transplant being performed by Dr. Mats Brandstrom and his team. And this was in Sweden, where this procedure was initially pioneered. And it took all day, it took about 12 or 13 hours between removing the donor uterus and then replacing it in the recipient's body. And it was awe-inspiring. I mean, I've been in medical theatres many times, but to actually see this organ that can give life being put into somebody's body and then assuming life itself, you know, being sort of perfused and becoming kind of pink and alive was absolutely wonderful.
Sounds incredible, but 13 hours, that's a long operation.
It's definitely a long operation, and what people should know is that it requires a tremendous amount of preparation, skill, knowledge, experience. There's a big team of surgeons, nurses, anaesthetists, assistants in the room at all times. They're kind of taking turns, swapping in and out depending on what's happening, and it really is a massive achievement.
In this case, it was a transplant from the recipient's sister to her. More typically, it's a donation from somebody who's died.
Yes, well, increasingly...
Does that make a big difference?
It can make a difference. So initially, when this procedure was first being kind of explored and performed, it was really just exclusively living donors that were giving a womb to usually a family member. But you know, sadly, we have a sort of potentially endless supply of organs from deceased donors. So if we can reduce the risk to living people and use these resources that sadly are already there, then potentially that can be a safer and more sustainable way to do these procedures in future.
So there's more likely that's the way we will go, rather than this
probably
very special case.
Yeah.
And the actual conception itself is fairly standard IVF, is that correct?
It pretty much is, yes. So in this case, the recipient of the uterus has something called Mayer-Rokitansky-Kuster-Hauser syndrome.
Don't blame
Bit
me
of a mouthful. MRKH,
yeah.
if that's easier. So she was born without a uterus, and this affects about 1 in 5,000 women. But these people often still have their ovaries, which still produce eggs. So as with any other IVF procedure, the eggs can be removed and combined with sperm in the lab, and embryo is then replaced in the donor uterus.
And is it how many pregnancies can there be? Is there a time limit on this?
Yeah, so at the moment in most of the clinical trials that are specializing in uterus transplants, they're saying maximum of 2 pregnancies, because each pregnancy really takes such a toll on the mother. They have to continue taking really intensive immunosuppressant drugs. The pregnancy has to be monitored and surveilled in so many ways by a whole multidisciplinary maternal health team. And so really at the moment, they're not thinking it can be sustainable for more than 2 live pregnancies.
We're all pretty much in awe of this, but some people would say there's another side to this, that babies can be delivered in different ways, and there are children without families, and why are we investing so much in this? What would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's valid to make that point, but it's really a matter of reproductive choice. When IVF was first developed, there was a big pushback against that as well. People were saying this is unnatural. Why go to all this trouble when maybe you can adopt, for example? And those arguments are coming up against now. But it's really just a matter of another choice for women who want to grow their family, who, for whatever reason, really would prefer to gestate and give birth to their own child. And in Scotland, we're a country that prioritises choice, and this looks like the way forward.
As you've described, a very complex operation, a very expensive operation. What's the likelihood of this becoming available in the NHS? This wasn't.
Yeah, at the moment, I think a very slim chance that this will be available on the NHS, because it's so resource intensive, not just in terms of money, but also just in the vast skill that's required to do this safely. So I think probably not in our lifetimes, but maybe the next generation will see this becoming more accessible.
But nonetheless, a big day for midwifery.
A massive day for anybody who is in this position like this woman was, and it gives people hope, which is great.
Always good to hear. Leah, thank you for joining us in Scotland.
Thank you.
Thank you.